There's a team in the NBA that no one is talking about, and that team is the Orlando Magic. After coming into the season as the fourth youngest team in the entire NBA, the Magic have proven everybody wrong. Before the season started, Vegas said that the Orlando Magic would finish with only 37 wins. They're already well over that number and still have 12 games remaining. Vegas predicted that there would only be 4 teams worse than the Magic in the Eastern Conference: the Wizards, the Pistons, the Hornets, and the Raptors. There's actually 11 teams worse than the Magic in the Eastern Conference. Today we're talking about the Orlando Magic, who are just defying the odds. They are going crazy this year and no one expected them to. And I feel like I gotta make this video because a lot of people in the NBA world just don't talk about the Orlando Magic. You know, when you talk about ESPN or just any of the big media, you know what I'm saying, Twitter, I don't know, Bleacher Report, House of Highlights, all these pages, they always talk about, you know, LeBron, the Celtics, the Warriors, all these teams, but no one talks about what the Orlando Magic and Paolo Banchero have been doing this year. And with only 12 games left in the season, it's going to be really interesting to see what the Orlando Magic do in the playoffs, because like I said in the intro, they were the 4th youngest team coming into the year. I couldn't find the updated numbers, but I assume they're around, you know, 4th youngest. It's going to be really interesting. They got nothing to lose. A team like that in the playoffs is potentially not a team that you want to face. And for those of you that have been living under a rock, I figured we would start off by showing the NBA standings. The Magic are in 4th. To start off the year, the Magic started really hot. I think they were possibly higher than this, maybe the 2 seed early on, but then they kind of fell down to like the 8th seed. They were in the play-in for a little bit and then they climbed back up. There was a decent little pack here from like the 76ers up to, I don't know, I guess the Magic. These teams have been kind of fighting for seeding the last, I would say, like 2 months. And right now the Magic are on top. The Knicks are pretty banged up. So if I had to pick, I would probably say the Magic end up higher than the Knicks. I don't know. The Knicks are a little banged up. That's not a for sure thing. The Knicks are going to pass them. The Pacers haven't looked great. They looked okay. They looked good, but I don't know if the Pacers are going to catch them. And then the Heat, Sixers, I mean, that would take a big winning streak, I feel like, to pass the Magic at this point. Now the Magic could even go past the Cavs. They're 1 game back from the Cavs and they are 3 games back from the Bucks. They're probably not going to catch the Bucks, but the Cavs dealing with some injuries. Maybe the Magic end up as the 3 seed. Tonight the Magic play the Sacramento Kings, then they play the Warriors, then the Clippers. So it's not too easy. They also got the Grizzlies. What are some tough games? We got the Pelicans coming up, and then at the bottom you finish off the year with the Bucks twice and the Sixers. So not an easy ending. And actually, if we look at the strength of schedule, the Magic have the 14th hardest schedule left. So I mean, they're pretty much 500. They're just middle of the road. It's not going to be too tough, but it's not going to be too easy. Again, the Bucks twice, Clippers once, Pelicans once, Kings once, and then Sixers, Warriors once, which those aren't even the toughest of games. And looking at the teams surrounding them in the seeding, the Bucks are 7th hardest in schedule remaining. They play the Celtics once, the Thunder twice. You guys can see the rest, but the Cavs down here, although they are banged up, they have a pretty easy schedule. They do play the Nuggets, Clippers, and Suns. And the Pacers, you guys can see the rest. Where are the Knicks at? Knicks are 16th, so about the same as the Magic. And before we talk about potential playoff matchups, because we're going to get into that, that's kind of hypothetical though, because the playoff bracket isn't set, so stuff can change. Let's talk about the Magic as a team. Obviously, they're led by Paolo and Franz, who's kind of the wingman. I feel like after that, it kind of falls off. But this is a pretty deep team. Like, it's not like elite level deep, you know what I'm saying? Like elite level players, but they have a lot of just like solid guys. Like I think their last game, they played 15 guys. Now given some of them probably, I think like 4 of them came in once the game was already over, but still playing 15 guys in 1 game, I feel like you don't really see that a lot. And before we talk about the guards on this team, Franz and Paolo are 2 wings that can pretty much do everything. They're going to play solid defense. They're going to give you buckets. They can dribble. That's pretty interesting because a lot of teams don't even have one of those guys that, you know what I'm saying? Those are the type of players that a lot of NBA franchises are looking for nowadays. Wings, you know, 6'8" type players that can put the ball on the ground, get a bucket, play defense, you know what I'm saying? 2-way players. The Magic have 2 of them. So I feel like that's pretty underrated. That's something a lot of people don't talk about. And then as far as the guards go, nothing too elite, but you got Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, and you also have Markelle Fultz. Then you have Gary Harris. I mean, nothing to get too excited about. Team is really deep because you have Wendell Carter Jr., Mo Wagner, and then Goga Bitadze's played some pretty big minutes this year. You also have, you know, Jonathan Isaac, of course, who used to be one of my favorite players. I mean, he kind of still is, but he just gets injured so much. So, I mean, he's been out there a lot this year, but he just is always injured. So I don't know. It's just tough. But they also have Anthony Black, Joe Ingles, Caleb Houston's a guy that I like a lot. I mean, it's just a solidly deep team. Here's a look at the depth chart. I mean, I feel like when you compare them though to other teams in the East, it's kind of like not the best looking roster, but they get it done. Like if we compare them to the Celtics, I mean, there's really no point of even doing this because the Celtics are unreal. They probably have the best roster on paper. I'm not saying they're the best team, even though they are this year. I mean, if you saw my predictions, you guys know that I think the Nuggets are going to beat them in the finals. That's my prediction. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but the Celtics on paper probably have the best team. We could also look at the Milwaukee Bucks, stacking it up against this. I mean, you obviously got Paolo Franz, but comparing that to Giannis and Dame, I mean, the team just doesn't really stack up, the Orlando Magic, but they're getting it done. 42-28. Again, a team with nothing to lose. You don't know what could happen in the playoffs, but I put out this tweet. I found this crazy because I was doing a little research before I did this video. To be honest, I don't watch the Magic too much. That's kind of why they're not in NBA media a lot, because a lot of people don't find them too entertaining. I think the playoffs is going to be a different story. They're going to be probably one of my favorite teams to watch just to see what can happen with them, and especially it being really their first time out there with this kind of like core. I was doing some research because, you know, I'm dropping videos about certain teams. I got to know what I'm talking about. And I was looking into, you know, Markelle Fultz. I was looking into all the players, but Markelle Fultz is shooting 9% from 3. Now, I know he doesn't shoot a lot of threes. I think he shoots like 0.3 per game, and he had that shoulder injury, so it's not the same, but he was the first overall pick. Like, I feel like that's not talked about enough. I feel like, I mean, the Sixers kind of messed up his shot, then he got injured. I don't know. It's messy, but I thought this was just an insane stat. 9%? I haven't seen anyone, especially a guard, shoot near this at all. I feel like if you're even shooting 25%, like that's crazy. 9%. Before we talk about some potential playoff matchups for the Magic and, you know, trying to predict how they'd match up against certain teams, how I think they'd fare in the playoffs, let's talk about their team offensive and defensive rating. So offensively, they rank pretty low, 21st in the entire NBA with a rating of 113. I think 113. I thought maybe I was looking at the wrong column for a second, but they're not the best offensively. The teams that are worse than them, pretty much all going to miss the playoffs. There's a few that are probably going to make it, like the Heat. I think we're below them. But then defensively, they're one of the best teams in the entire NBA. They're the 3rd best defensively rated team at 110.8. And if we look at net rating, which kind of compiles both, we have the Magic as the 12th best team when you look at the advanced analytics. Now, I thought it was interesting to look, what did the analysts, what did the experts, what did the sports books or whatever have the Magic doing this year? You could see all the teams, which is actually pretty interesting. If you look at all these teams, I feel like it's just interesting to see what they had each team doing. But the Orlando Magic, I said this in the intro, were predicted to have 37.5 wins. They're already at, I think it was 42. Hold on, you guys can't see it, but yeah, 42 wins is what they're at already with 12 games left. They're probably going to finish close to 50 wins, which who could have predicted that? Not many, but 37.5 wins compared to the season that they're actually having, the Magic are just really over exceeding expectations. Okay, now let's talk about some potential playoff matchups for the Orlando Magic. The playoffs are less than a month away. I could not be more excited. You know, legacies are being created and history's being written literally every single game in the playoffs. Every bucket matters a lot. Right now, the Magic at the 4 seed would be playing the New York Knicks. Now, it matters a lot about their health. How's Randall going to be? How's OG Anunoby going to be? You know what I'm saying? This is a team that's banged up. The Magic are very healthy. If the Knicks are still banged up going into the playoffs, I'm going to say it. I know a lot of people are really high on the Knicks, but the Magic definitely could beat the Knicks. It's just kind of hard to predict right now. But if they do win that, the winner of 4-5 ends up playing the winner of 1 versus, you know, 8, which we don't know who the 8 seed is going to be, but we do know the Celtics are going to be playing that matchup. So winner of this probably plays the Celtics, and let's just be honest, it would take an absolute miracle for the Magic or the Knicks to beat the Celtics. And Knicks fans are going to disagree. Maybe if there's Magic fans watching this, they'll disagree as well. Maybe they're just a little realistic. I'm a realistic person. The Knicks would have to be fully healthy and just have to get really hot, but these teams are probably going to lose to the Celtics in the second round, whoever does win it. Now, if the Magic go up to the 3 seed, Cavs fall down. which would be interesting. We have Cavs, Knicks, but we're not going to talk about that. Magic in the 3 seed would play the Pacers as the 6 seed. Now, that's winnable. I think a lot of people are very high on the Pacers. They were early this year after the in-season tournament, after the start that Halliburton had, and then especially after the acquisition of Pascal Siakam. They've looked good. They've looked solid, but they haven't looked great. They haven't looked elite, like one of the best teams in the NBA. I think the Magic could beat the Pacers. And there's a lot of series, unless they play like the Celtics, then that would probably not apply. But the possible series we have, you know, the Knicks, possibly they'll play the Pacers in the first round. I mean, those aren't going to be sweeps. I think the Magic go at least 6, maybe 7. And if you go to a game 7, anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? So the Magic have a very good chance of getting out of the first round. Again, it's going to matter about matchups. Would you rather, if you're a Magic fan, or maybe even if you're not, would you rather like to see the Magic play the Knicks? Like, which one do you think they have a better chance of advancing? Against the Knicks, who would be potentially banged up, or the Pacers, who are probably going to be healthy? I don't know. I feel like both of them would go 6 or 7. Moral of the story, the Magic are having a really good year, but I don't see them going too far. I think they can get to the second round, but they're most likely going to lose in the second round. They need like an injury to the other team's star player or something to probably go to the conference finals. If they're going to go on a deep run, I mean, they're going to need a lot of help, but that would be insane. If the Orlando Magic go on a deep run, I mean, what's that going to do for Paolo's legacy? What's that going to do for the Magic? Like, this little core of Paolo and Franz, like, I feel like it's going to do a lot. And something we didn't really talk about, where is it? Right here. Paolo is averaging 23 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game. I mean, the type of season he's having needs to be talked about more in NBA media. I mean, I think the Magic have a shot against anybody in the East except the Celtics. And you guys might disagree. I know a lot of people are really high on the Bucks. You got to remember they're coached by Doc Rivers, an all-time playoff disaster of a coach, versus a team which not a lot of people know about. Not a lot of people know what's going to happen with the Magic in the playoffs. I'm really excited to see what happens. Leave your predictions in the comments. That's going to be the question of the day. Leave your predictions. Where will the Magic end up, you know, ending their run? Is it going to be in the first round in 6 games to the Knicks? Is it going to be in the second round to the Celtics? Do you have them winning the finals? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure you're subscribed because we're on the road to 2K subs. I'll drop a full playoff predictions video soon, probably when the playoff bracket is set. I already have one of those videos out from 2 weeks ago. You guys can check it out if you haven't seen it. Sub up, drop a like. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.